Welcome everyone to the Player One Sim Gear SFL Super Formula Lights Endurance Championship, brought to you by Print Racer, Image Digital, Ridge Racing Setups, RSW Graphics, everything simulated, and 24 sim services. It's the start of a 5-round calendar that takes us, first of all, to our first venue out of 5, most notably the biggest sensation coming out of New South Wales, Mount Panorama, aka Bathurst. This 6.1 kilometre circuit that has been around since the late 1930s, evolved into its current guise, and has been like that since 1987. So we've got the Dallara 324 Super Formula Lights that will be running around this circuit for the best part of an hour and a half. Qualifying is pretty much just halfway through at the minute. You join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Dean Bggles Hopton, who will be your guides around this fantastic circuit that has 23 turns. And of course, this is a part of Australian folklore when it comes to this particular circuit. If you ever might remember the days of Scafie and Gentleman Jim Richards back in the 1990s with the all-dominant Nissan Skyline GTR, and a particular post-race celebration that was shrouded amidst controversy, wet weather conditions, red flags, and Gentleman Jim speaking his mind. And if you know, you know. But more to the point, we've got 5 exciting rounds, including this one. This is the first of 5 rounds, so after this, we'll have a 2-month hiatus before we go to home with British Motorsport on the 30th of March to Silverstone. Then it's a quick trip over the channel to Portimao in the Algarve on the 22nd of June. The 7th of September will see us hit the Ardennes Forest at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And then the 23rd of November will see a driver vote cast where these cars will be racing. They're running the 1.6 Toyota engines, which are the TGE 33s, running with about 275 brake horsepower, developed by Toms, of course, very much known in Japanese folklore, having run the likes of Kaz Nakajima and Andre Lotterer in Super Formula, and the team has also competed in Super GT. So before we get on with the meat and potatoes of this, let's bring Bggles into the commentary box. G'day, mate. Well, home turf for you, of course, here at Mount Panorama at Bathurst, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these Super Formula Lights get around this circuit for an hour and a half.
Yes, g'day, mate. You're in the right. That's why they allowed you to put a stamp on your passport when you arrived there, Alex, because you mentioned that the my old Skyline there that had dominated the old mountain back in the 90s, mate, when you and I were around, actually, but probably some of these young guns that are out on track here this evening might not have even seen them go around this track, but they're certainly going to fly these Super Formulas around for the first time. We're seeing these cars on this track, and the outright lap record around here was Christopher Miles, and that was in a time of 1:59.2 in 2018, driven by an unrestricted GT3 spec Audi R8 during the Challenge Bathurst event. I don't think these Super Formulas, mate, are going to get that close to, well, actually, come to think of it, they are actually quicker, believe it or not, 1:56, but we'll get there in a second because they're under qualifying.
Well, the thing is, the new lap record on board that was done in February of last year, Jules Gounon, 1:56.605, but a true lap record is done under full racing conditions. And at the moment, well, currently leading the way in time qualifying, it's the man that was one of the Asia Pacific representatives in the 2024 FIA SimMagic F4 Esports Championship. Benjamin Roberts running in the number 74. He's currently fastest with a 1:56.954 and is just over 2.5 tenths ahead of Ethan Morris. You've then got Craig Edwards rounding out the top 3 in the number 28. Top 3 covered by just over 3 tenths. Jordan Mazzaroli. Then we've got Daniel Byrne and Scott Bartine rounding out the top 6. Sam Chapman in 7th, around about 1.2 seconds off the pace. Douglas Gowans in 8th, and then we've got the Challenger rank drivers. Tristan McLaren in the 63 is the fastest in that group on a 1:58.622. Then we've got, well, actually, as I say that, Tom Donahue now goes up into P9. Tristan McLaren now rounds out the top 10. So a very, very close spread as we're heading into the final 2.5 minutes here in qualifying here, Biggles.
I'm looking forward to it, exactly as you can see. Pro and challengers that are split up in here. Hello out there to Matthew Garnett. I do know some of these drivers from another league that I commentate for. So that's the likes of Scott Bartine, Tim Donahue, I believe as well, too, Jake Rebillard. So good to see them again, but in a different car. I think they're usually in the V8 supercars and stuff like that, my friend. But they've switched it up here and said enough of V8s around Bathurst. Let's try the super formulas. Well, I always give you the honour, my friend Alex. You want to pick a driver and give us a hot lap guide around the mountain?
Let's see if we can pick up our current leader in time qualifying. Let's see if we can go on board with Benjamin Roberts. And here he is, making his way through into Murray's Corner, the 23rd and final turn. Comes out of the final corner, runs on the outside curbing quite wide, and comes across the pit straight into Hell Corner. A 90 left, take the inside line, run the car out wide, up Mountain Straight. Now, for those aficionados out there, you will know that Mount Panorama has about pretty much 50% of the lap where you are at full throttle, as he's making his way into Griffin's Bend at about 145 miles an hour. He's going to be down the gearbox into fourth, 100 miles an hour on the apex, now through into the infamous cutting, where we saw the likes of Sheldon van der Linde have a bit of a drama a few years ago. Then it's into Quarry, and you can just see how close Benjamin Roberts is getting to the walls, through into Reed Park, which then brings us into the first of the dip parts here at Mount Panorama at Bathurst, through into Reed Park, now into Sulman before we go into McPhillamy. You can just see the amount of commitment, 230 kilometres an hour, now on the run down into Skyline, through the S's. Got to be very, very much on your P's and Q's here at this part of the circuit, and Benjamin Roberts absolutely flying in this Super Formula Lights car through the dipper, now into Forest Elbow. So you wait before you put the pedal to the metal, and now it's up to third gear. We're now going to see how fast one of these Super Formula Lights cars are down Conrod Straight. Where a V8 supercar will probably be hitting the best part of nearly 300 clicks. Well, Ben, as he comes over the crest, is at 250 kph into the chase, and he's at about 260 kilometers an hour, is around about 170 miles an hour. Now down the run underneath the Armorall Bridge, and he decides to pull it into pit lane, but that is a fast lap around Mount Panorama as the checkered is out for qualifying. Benjamin Roberts will have taken the inaugural pole position in this Player One SimGear FDL Endurance Series, as we do have Ethan Morris in the number 12 car, currently on his 7th lap in qualifying. He's making his way through Griffin's Bend, and a nice little nose cam shot on the left side of the front wing as we ride on the aero box of the car through the cutting. And also one of the deceptive parts here at Bathurst, Bggles, is the fact of there's a lot of adverse camber, especially going through the cutting. You know, you're going up a hill and then you're going into a banked left-hander, and we see that multiple times around the circuit. One of the big things you don't want to do is clip the walls through Reed, Sulman or McPhillamy going into the infamous corner known as Skyline.
So you can see him climb down here into the dipper and stuff. Look at that. These things are light. It feels like you're on air, isn't it? This is a gyro cam to give you that little elevational change, as you said, going off camper and stuff like that. This is all important corner right here. You have to nail this one. Well, you nailed it a little bit, unfortunately, in the apex too much into the tire wall, but that's because that's your Forest Elbow, because you've got this long straightaway, as you said, where they will get about 265, I think, that were peaking, and then get ready for the chase. Overtaking opportunities, of course, are big around the chase there, Alex, but certainly quick these cars are. And Ethan, see if he can manage to dethrone Benjamin Roberts for that pole position.
At the moment, it doesn't look like it at the minute, because he's just come through the chase. Looked like the tail end was wagging a little bit to the right-hand side, as he is now going to go into pit lane. So, folks, fuel tank. There's going to be a fuel tank restriction on this particular field. 79% of tank capacity, as Scott Bartane manages to make his way up into 5th position. in the final throws in qualifying. So let's take you through the grid for the inaugural race of the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship here at Bathurst. It's going to be Benjamin Roberts on pole position, Ethan Morris on alongside him on the front row, then Craig Edwards and Jordan Mazzaroli on row 2, Scott Bartain and Daniel Byrne on row 3, Sam Chapman and Douglas Gowans on row 4, with Chris Swadling, the highest of the challenger rank drivers, has got Tom Donahue alongside him for close company on row 5. Tristan McLaren and Matt Tesseriro round out the top 12. Brett Douglas, Nathan Vernay and Jake Robillard rounding out the 15 cars. Nathan Allen showing up as something completely different. Not a Super Formula Light, but I see a Porsche sign, but don't think Nathan will take the start on this one. It's going to be an hour and a half around this 6.2 kilometre circuit, but more to the point, one of the big talking points, Benjamin Roberts, as I said, competed in the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship. Can anyone beat him? But there's a possibility of, if there's a safety car, we could have a potential that one or several drivers might go for that good old one-stop strategy. So the first stop could be possibly 35 laps, but if there's a late safety car, drivers might take advantage of that, Dean.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to try that alternative strategy. Of course, that safety car that we did see of Nathan Allen he'd be piloting that Porsche. Will he be out there? And of course, that question as you raised there, Alex, will that switch the strategy around? We know that it's worked for Ferrari in the past, hasn't it, in Formula One?
Well, the thing is, Nathan, Matthew Gerard says, I believe Nathan is race control or safety car. We do have a manually operated safety car, which is done by race control. So, folks, we're just waiting for Benjamin Roberts, our pole sitter, to jump onto the grid. And there he is. So, we are lined up and ready for the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship Round 1 here at the mountain. 90 minutes of racing in these Super Formula Lights cars, each of them developing 275 brake horsepower, light as a feather, as the red lights will start to ignite on the gantry. The green flag. And the green flag waves were underway. It's about who gets into hell corner with the best hole shot. As Roberts leads the way, Morris to the outside early doors. Might try the over-under. Might try the slim shady round the first corner. And he's got the job done as Ethan Morris. But now it's the run up mountain straight, too wide from parts of the course and parts of the field. But Benjamin Roberts trying to put the frighteners on Ethan Morris. He's nearly bump drafting him going into Griffin's Bend as Mazzaroli and Edwards go side by side into turn 2, and up the hill they go for the first time on the approach into the cutting. But now Ethan Morris in the number 12 leads from the number 74 of Benjamin Roberts, Craig Edwards, Jordan Mazzaroli, Scott Bartain. Then we've got Daniel Byrne, Sam Chapman, Douglas Gowans, Chris Swadling leading the challengers field. Down in 9th with Tom Donahue completing the top 10. But that was a great start from Ethan Morris. He got the jump and got the whole shot, and Roberts was not caught napping, but is quickly on the offensive.
Front two, just a switcheroo between them. So far, that's it. Yeah, they'll go all the way down to 13 for 14 for a switcheroo. So far, so good. I think these gentlemen have got the memo that it is an endurance race. You're not going to win it, and you can certainly lose it on the first lap. The corner, straight into the fence. Oh, that's Craig Edwards.
Edwards from third place. And that car, well, you can see the front right, wobbling up and down like a yo-yo on a string. So that's going to be... That's going to be a trip down into pit lane very, very quickly indeed. He's managed to keep the car going, but he's dropped all the way to the end of the field. Through the chase go the leaders, and you see the rear wing view from Ethan Morris as he hurtles it through the chase, kicks up a little bit of the grass, but still manages to keep Roberts at bay. After the first 6.2 kilometres of this 1.5 hour race here on the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship, it's Ethan Morris that leads, Roberts in second, Mazzoli now promoted into third thanks to Craig Edwards' unfortunate moment into the barriers, and he's gone into pit lane. But let's just have a look at the replay. Up through the cutting, and I did say about keeping close to these walls, and now that was into Forest Elbow.
Yeah,
big hit on the right front
there, Alex. He did get your memo away from that one, but oops. as hopefully the live pictures will come back in a second. There we go. So there's the battle still resuming, P1 and P2. They've got themselves a nice little gap over everybody else, and I think our pictures are just broken for a second, so let me get that fixed.
Yeah, that was just a replay of the leaders going through into the chase off of Conrod Strait. But Ethan Morris at the moment is starting to build an initial advantage over Benjamin Roberts. They've just gone through sector number 2. And, well, the lead is about 0.4 of a second. Then it's 1.8 seconds back to Jordan Mazzoli, who rounds out the top 3 at this moment in time. So we are just bear with us with regards to trying to get the live pictures back. But Craig Edwards managing to use a fast repair. He was in the pit box for about 4 seconds. So, more to the point, Ethan Morris is just trying to do what he can. It is early doors. There could be an opportunity to undercut the opposition in the pit lane if you decide to short fuel it, which sometimes in an endurance race is not the best thing to do. But there is Roberts, and he's trying to put the frighteners on Morris early. Now, this could be a bit of a psychological advantage for the number 74 as they go through the chase once again here on lap number 2. So, but Morris just seems to have a little bit more of an idea of thinking, okay, I know he's not going to try and throw a move at me quite yet, but at Mount Panorama, we've just seen it with Craig Edwards, who was in the pits. That was not exactly what he needed. Here's a very lovely Joseph Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat livery on the Locked On Lads Racing number 282 of Nathan Verney. Currently running 4th in the Challengers split, and he's currently he's 12th overall, P4 in class, but he's also made up 2 places because of Craig Edwards' sudden fall from grace. And Jimmy Boy saying in the YouTube chat, ouch, unusual mistake from Craig. Whether he's had a technical issue, it could have been that the steering wheel hasn't allowed him to turn left at Forest Elbow, where it decided, well, I'm going to go. The car's decided, or the steering wheel's decided, you're going straight into the fence, mate. Oh, that was close from Morris. Going through into the wall, nearly going into the wall there, through into Silman Park, through Reed. Now they head into Skyline. You can just see how much pressure Roberts is putting on Morris on this early stage of the race. We're only about 5 minutes in, and Morris is just being hounded at the moment by the 74 of Roberts.
We have a crash. Looks like Scott Bartine's gone off somewhere. There he is, and just behind the tree there. We'll get that chopped out later on. He has to sit there patiently, get back on the loud pedal. And Scotty, yep, as I said, I'd seen him in some other league racing. Unfortunately, he is another victim of the mountain early on lap 3 as he locks up there. Might be a bit of damage on that one. See if we can go back and have a quick look at the replay on that one, because there's a lot of action going on as the leaders are battling too. But just really quickly, let's have a look where it all went a little bit pearl-shaped there, Alex.
He came through Skyline, went into the S's leading into the Dipper, and it looks like he might have just pinballed off the walls there, to be honest with you, and that's really unfortunate because that's dropped him down to 14th spot. He started 5th on the grid. Matt Tesseriro, in the meantime, running 9th at the minute. He's up 3 spots from 12th on the grid. He's 3rd place in the Challengers. Nathan Verney with a send up the inside, and that's on Brett Douglas. Scott Bartine's now gone into the pits to repair any kind of damage. So at the minute, well, the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:57.520 by Benjamin Roberts, who in the meantime has retaken the lead of this race. He only led it for about the small dash from the pit straight down to Held Corner. As here's Matt Tesseriro in the Velocity Racing team number 25. He's closing in on Jake Robillard in the number 19 up ahead. And one of the biggest things you don't want to do is try and make a pass at the cutting. All I'm going to say is Marcus Ambrose on that one. And the thing is, I love Bathurst just because of the amount of historic moments that have happened here in V8 Supercars, the Bathurst 12 Hours. There's so much great racing that goes on at this circuit.
Not
year
2024,
in, year out.
but yeah, apparently that was a bit of a snooze fest.
That was a long time ago. That was back at that was before even the old car of the future days.
Ah, yes. Wow, look at the way that the car slides, Jake Robillard, as it just is so light, isn't it? Lifts it up there, it's like a roller coaster goes over, and you get that little sensation of a zero-G feeling as you drop down if you've been on roller coasters before, which I'm sure you have there, Alex. And there you go, maybe we'll drop off a little bit. I wanted to go back, and because we missed the action whilst we're looking at the replay, that will happen, but when Benjamin retook the lead of this race from Ethan, because remember, Benjamin did put it on pole.
Yeah, and this is side by side down Conrod Straight, and Benjamin gets he cuts across the front of Ethan Morris. Very cleanly done between the two of them, and that's one of the things about this league, is just to promote clean, good racing. Sam Chapman, in the meantime, closing in on the 808 of Daniel Byrne. Now, this is for 4th position, but more to the point that Sam Chapman is also one of the pro class drivers. So on the timing screens on the left hand side, folks, well, there is Brett Douglas coming into pit lane.
Early?
Well, might have been for possible dramas, who knows. But Sam Chapman needs to keep his lines a little bit tighter to keep it on the coattails of Daniel Byrne in the 808. So this is the battle for P4 and P5. So Pro is dark green, Challenger is light green on the timing screen on the left-hand side, for those folks watching on the JP Broadcasting Network. Of course, this is not the only FDL racing that is going to be happening, because the first of the Super Formula Light season gets underway in just a couple of days' time on the 21st of January at Suzuka. But yeah, this is getting a bit feisty here between Swadling and Robillard, and this is for the Challenger Class Lead. They're going through Skyline into the S's, now into the Dipper. So Jake Robillard and the number 19 Everything Simulated Racing, or ESR for short. Multiple drivers in that team: Brett Douglas, Scott Bartain, Tom Donahue and Tristan McLaren. So, yep, Jake Robillard's got to do a little bit of closing in. Sam Chapman, in the meantime, has got past Daniel Byrne for 4th place. So there has been a swap between the two.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a replay of that one. So, where is this? Is this up the... No, it's into the chase.
Yeah, it's Conrod again.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be the best overtaking opportunity that these drivers have. And, yeah, pretty much a textbook of what we saw between Roberts and Morris a couple of laps ago. So the driver's really getting into a bit of a rhythm. We're now 10 minutes in to this 1.5 hour endurance race, and we will be speaking to our top 3 in the pro class for the post-race interview show before we close things off here on the JP Broadcasting Network. But a big thank you to everyone that has joined us. So get involved, get in on the chat, and let us know who you're cheering for today. We'd love to hear from you. And the Formula Drivers League, or FDL for short, is an Aussie-based invite-only Formula Car-only league designed for driver-focused competition. They aim to deliver clean, exciting racing for pro drivers on the iRacing platform. And in this early stage of this 5-round Player One Sim Gear Endurance Championship, we definitely have got that. Swadling has just dropped behind Robillard and McLaren. So I'm wondering, well, has Swadling got a problem? Right front wheel,
yes,
front wheel.
It's got to punch up. Oh, and it's going to have more than a tyre punctured now.
That's through Silman Park as well. There's, yeah, that front right side of that front wing is scraping along the ground. So, yeah, exactly what we saw with Craig Edwards. So that's going to, I'm sure, affect a fast repair. So he's going to...
It's got a long way to go, hasn't he, to turn this one back, because this is the thing about the Bathurst, mate. The mountain punishes you big time, because not only the fact that you usually do damage around this section of the track, but you got a long way to go. You can see that track map. A long way to go down Conrod Straight, very slow and gingerly, and then pull himself in a pit, because the toe's just as punishing, mate. You might as well drive back, and he is going to drive it back. It's just a little bit of blinking. So another casualty to the mountain, Alex.
Yeah, the thing is that drivers do actually have to request a tow, so they have to let race control know if they're able to do so. So a lot of the drivers will brave it out a little bit. Jake Robillard and Tristan McLaren are on your screens here. This is for the Challenger class lead. So Tristan McLaren closing in on Jake Robillard. So Chris Swadling now in the pit lane as McLaren gets a bit of a tow down mountain straight. He's going to look to the inside line. This could be nip and tuck, but the slipstream very, very powerful around this circuit, and through goes McLaren. On Robillard, that was a clean move there, but Robillard didn't really fight it that much. And I think what we've got to understand here, folks, is that yes, these are formula cars, but it's an endurance situation, so conservation is key. And as we just found out with Craig Edwards, Scott Bartone, Brett Douglas, and now Chris Swadling, one mistake, and as Bggles rightly said, the mountain bites back hard if you don't give it the respect it deserves.
Yeah, you know, they say, you know, everything can kill you in Australia because we have all the poisonous snakes and spiders and that sort of jazz. Well, we also have Mount Panorama, and that's you add that to the dangerous Australian outback adventures that you're going to have, even though we're not that much outback here in Australia, just a couple of hours drive outside of Sydney. But yeah, Mountain does punish you, my friend, as these two are going for it tooth and nail. As you just saw Trishan getting past Jake. I'm going to back the Everything Simulated racing team because I know those gladiators from the other racing league that I mentioned as well too. So I'll no doubt have a chin wagon to them and say, let's see your performance here at the Super Formulas around the mountain. As I don't think this battle is over just yet there, Alex.
No, it's gonna be like a bit of a pendulum, isn't it? You know, it's going to swing from one way to the other. But that's the beauty of endurance racing. You can conserve tyres a little bit. You can maybe just not go flat chat on the throttle. Or as James likes to say, give it the berries on the loud pedal.
He also has less to go rat-tat-tat.
Or a bit of ta-ta-ta.
Ta-ta-ta,
You know,
yes.
and I started doing that once, and I like thinking, don't start talking like he does. You know, but the thing is that this is something unusual that we don't see in, let's say, normal racing, because IRL. Whereas here, oh dear, Jake Robillard went straight into the back of Tristan McLaren and now has no front wing, so the aero on that car is going to be understeering like the plague, and he's going to have to bring that in. That's another driver that has been bitten early by the mountain, and we're just past the 15-minute mark. So these drivers are able to run 79% of the actual capacity. So at the moment we are on...
Oh, Tristan!
Oh dear, and now Tristan McLaren's dropped it.
He's decided to. He felt bad about his teammate, mate. He said, "Okay, I'll."
Who's that?
Matty
Matt Tessariro's just gone off as well, and well, that's not going to be steering all the way proper, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So Matt's just hit the barrier, and that was probably coming through Quarry and into Reed. Let's have a look. So. Oh no, this is going into Skyline. So Skyline into the S's, down into the Dipper. He's had nowhere to go.
That was the accident before, exactly. Yeah, he had nowhere to go.
Exactly. So I'm wondering whether he hit Tristan McLaren by just sheer coincidence. So yeah, we're going to have a look on the onboard here from the airbox cam. So. Going to see whether he hits the wall or no, he doesn't. It's I think probably a little bit of our friend Mr. Netcode has happened. Dramas for Nathan Verney as well. So Robillard in the pits.
Oh, they've come together. Look at that.
And Verney. Oh dear. So. And that's the 63. Tristan McLaren's now got no front and rear wing.
Oh, that's crab.
Nathan Verney's car is crabbing. That says to me multiple fast repairs are going to be affected. Maybe they might want to top up with a little bit of fuel now as they've got the opportunity. But we have not had a safety car situation. So Tristan McLaren through the chase, rotates, and Vernie just gets caught up in the crossfire.
Now
It's a
that's
bit like the
interesting,
redress.
yeah,
All
because
I'm going to say, it reminds me of the redress between Scott McLaughlin and Garth Tandra all those years ago. But the thing was, yeah, Nathan was just minding his own business, and it's just the fact that Tristan's just understeered coming out of the chase. It's rotated the car, he's hit the barriers, and Nathan's just been clipped.
I'm wondering, because that's the thing too, in a perspective, if I was an engineer and I'd say, look, there's a wounded car up the road there, be very, very careful because they're very difficult. That'll be lapped down because Benjamin just passes them right now, race leader. But if I was in that situation, I wouldn't get too close to a damaged car, especially in a high-speed section of the track like there because of situations like that, mate. So, granted, it wasn't Nathan's fault per se with the being tagged in the collision, but if he was further back, he probably would have had more time to react. So, and an endurance race, mate, too, you could afford to lose yourself 30 seconds a lap, for safety wise, to keep yourself pointed in the right direction and have no damage, I'd say.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, Benjamin Roberts has now pulled a gap of 2.3 seconds over Ethan Morris, and we are currently on lap 10 with just over 18 and a half minutes of this first round of the Player One Sim Gear Formula Drivers League Endurance Championship here at Bathurst. So a big thank you to everyone tuning in on the JP Broadcasting Network. Still plenty of racing left to come over the course of this weekend, which will include the Conspit GR86 Cup in association with the Tanzo Racing Group. We've got our favourites, IGP. They'll also be running the Super Formulas. We've also then got the return of Sim Racing for Simpletons for their Sunday night extravaganza, or if you're in the UK, it'll be Monday morning. I should know because I'll be on the broadcast with our good friend Mr. James Parfitt. But here is the battle for 4th and 5th between Sam Chapman and Daniel Byrne coming down Conrod Straight at a big lick of speed. And Byrne is going to go for the move into the chase.
Not lifting.
And, well, no, he's not lifting at all, but Chapman's giving him enough racing room. Chapman holds on to 4th. Good little battle there for 4th and 5th position.
Oh!
But in the meantime, well, that's just gone and changed it all, because Chapman's done exactly what we saw happen with Tristan McLaren. Well, Sam actually did have a front wing on that car and a rear wing. So I think he realised the car's not tracking true, so he's decided to come down pit road. Very interesting that we are seeing a lot of dramas happen. So this is a repeat of what happened as they came out of the chase. Chapman bumped over the curbs through the chase, mowed the grass with the right rear, and hits the outside curbing, goes a little bit high, and bang! Back end goes straight into the wall just before the Armour All Bridge.
And the one positive sign, the glass is always half full, not half empty on having an accident there, is that the pit lane entrance is right there, rather than having it up the top of the mountain or at the entrance of the mountain when you've got a lot of work to come back. But obviously some rear damage on that one. He may have used his fast repair. It looked like he did use his fast repair because it was a very quick pit stop. Back out. And I tell you what, usually you'd say in a sprint race that may be all she wrote for getting yourself into a podium position. But that's the beauty of endurance racing, isn't it, mate? You still have a gaggle of time, at least an hour and change, to fight your way back up through.
And the good thing is, all 15 runners and riders are still competing at the moment. Matt Tesseriro has been the one that has been in the pit lane the longest. 2 minutes and 5 seconds was the number 25 on his marks in the pit box. Tristan McLaren, 48.3 seconds in his pit box, and the number 63. As Benjamin Roberts for DPR Racing carries on regardless and continues to expand his lead over Ethan Morris, who managed to do the Slim Shady round the outside into held corner and get the job done early. But it was only a matter of laps before this man here was able to get through and retake the lead down Conrod Straight and heading into the chase with a very good duel between the two for a number of laps, with Roberts putting the pressure on Morris. But at the moment, well, the thing is, even with a 2.3 second advantage, Morris is lapping actually slightly quicker at the moment than Roberts. by about a tenth of a second. Now, in a sprint race, that would be considered to be not that much, but an endurance race, those all-important thousandths, hundredths, tenth of a second can all matter, especially when we get to the pit stop phase where a lot of our drivers up until, well, I've noticed that with regards to our top six and our top six are the only ones that haven't made a trip through the pit lane. Craig Edwards, for those that have got live timing, if it doesn't show that he's had a pit stop, well, you're very much mistaken. He did make a mistake and went off at Forest Elbow and broke the front right. But Ethan Morris very, very close there, as you had a sharp intake of breath there, Bggles, as he went through the S's.
You see that
into
there?
The
He was
dipper.
floating with the fence, and the fence is calling for a dance partner. And Ethan Morris said, I know you're pretty and all, but not quite yet. And as he was flying, you can see currently at the moment those sector times at the moment. He is shaving little bits of time. Was, and as you can currently see on that fastest lap, he shaved a bit of time out of Roberts, but now he's just losing 1/10 and then pretty steady Eddie on that one. But that last sector 5, you can see 2/10 lost for that little mistake. But more importantly, I'd say no damage to the number 12 machine, and in an endurance race, that's your biggest enemy. But look at that, fought back at sector 2 and got the fastest time. Sector 6, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, sector 6, he managed to take quite a bit of time. I mean, he took the best part of 0.3 of a second actually out of him. So the last sector that Roberts did on sector 6 was a 20.6. Ethan Morris a high 20.29. So we're going to see a replay here. Scott Bartain again, front and centre in the 909 from ESR.
Oh, Scotty.
He's done it again.
Yeah, we'll go right on board, because sometimes those camera operators are a little bit behind the wall. Let's go down here, mate. Explain
right,
this
through
one.
The S's into the dipper. Oh, I think he just might have been a little bit aggressive on turning. You know, it's a fast left and then into another right going in through into the dipper. So you've got to be very, very careful. Jake Robillard. Okay, so we're going back to the number 19 from ESR. Forest Elbow, and bang, lost the front wing.
That's not very good for the everything simulated team, isn't it, mate? Just like that in the space of one lap.
Well,
I think the drivers have an accident.
I think he's also broken the right front as well, so he's in the pit lane repairing damage, and that's going to be quite substantial, if I'm very much mistaken. We're 5 minutes away from hitting 1/3 of the timer, and Jake Robillard is now 50 seconds on his marks in the pit lane. Tristan McLaren seems to be struggling a little bit. He's had a couple of off tracks here or there. Benjamin Roberts are now about to put a lap on Nathan Verney. Now this is going into Murray's corner. Verney keeps out of the way and lets Roberts through. And that's now going to be lap number 13 completed. So on to lap 14 of the race. So now we get into that territory, Bggles, where back marker traffic...
Yes, sir.
Could be very, very crucial in this race. And it's always very crucial in endurance racing, because up the road from Nathan Verney, about another, 20 seconds? No, probably about another half a minute ahead is Chris Swadling. So now it's a case of Morris might find this as an opportune moment for him to go and push, not to go beyond the limits of adhesion, but just to give Roberts that little bit of a frightener. But Morris has now got Verney in front of him, so that's the next bit of traffic that he needs to dispose of, and he's got to wait to do that. There's no point trying to fire it through into Skyline, because we know that
he's going to lift off completely and let him through there. There you go.
Verney knew that he was coming, so he would have gotten the blue flag just to say, faster car coming up on you, mate. You might want to get out of the way, and that's exactly what he's done. So what that's given Ethan Morris is, at the minute, clear air between him and Benjamin Roberts as they now go down out of Forest Elbow into Conrod Straight.
Yeah, very polite there. That's twice there. So Nathan did move out of the way before Murray's corner to allow Benjamin through. I thought Ethan was going to be catching him in the mountain, which is exactly he did. And well, it didn't cost him any time, obviously. So I thought at anything he just had to tuck up as you were talking about it, and then just get him out of Forest Elbow course down Conrod Straight. He would move across, but it didn't even get to that situation. Nathan, the Locked On Lads racing team, said, "No worries, mate. I'll let you through. It's an endurance race. I don't want to hold you up because I know you're trying to chase down Benjamin, and that gap is 3.2. Tristan McLaren looked like he's had a moment. I wanted to ask you, because I know that you're a walking Wikipedia of racing knowledge there, Mr. Alex. Murray's Corner was named after who?
Oh, well, it wasn't after Murray Walker, as we see a replay. Tristan McLaren. It's not gone well for the ESR the driver in the number 63. He's oh dear, that's a bad place to end up accidentally parking and then having to hold on to the brakes. Murray's Corner. I'm trying to remember.
To the marble. See the marble starting to fill that there already too, so you wouldn't want to get too wide down. That's the spot where you get your fold up. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. That's if you want to get your scalpers tickets. Go get your fold-out chair there and your Eskian cooler and sit down and have a couple of cold ones and watch the action right there on the mountain, because that's where it's been claiming some of those victims already.
I can't remember why Murray's Corner is called Murray's Corner. I would look at Wikipedia, but then I'd be classed as a cheater.
You are the Wikipedia. I thought we usually just ask you. I just go...
Yeah, well, I don't...
My Wikipedia goes to, when I go to wikipedia.com, it just forwards to your telephone and calls you. And then I say, Alex, what's the answer to this question?
No. Or you get, this number is currently unavailable. Please try again later.
Yeah, that's right, he's travelling. Which phone number to call?
Well, I know about Harold Corner because it was named after a tree stump that actually existed on the apex of the turn. And there was... and this is... I remember this because of the fact that... it was believed that any motorcycle riders who had hit the stump would die in an act of folly and thereby be doomed to an eternity of birth. Now, whoever thought of an eternity of birth? Yeah, but I mean the thing was it was basically because there was a tree stump that existed on the apex of the turn. Right. Which I think might have been why it was called Hell's Corner, because it made hell for people that were you hit it. In hell. Whoops. Yeah, you'd feel like hell because everything would be hurting afterwards. But Jordan Mazzaroli in the number 61's been doing a pretty stellar job in P3. Jake Robillard, I don't know how long that car is going to be in the pits, because that's been on its marks for over 5 minutes. So could be our first retirement of the night.
We do have permission to talk to some of the drivers during pace car conditions or early DNFs. So
he is not one of them, I'm afraid.
No, he's not one of them. No, he hasn't elected to put his name up and say, yes, come and talk to me, or even give us a bit of pit lane information, or even driver information, of course, because he's the one that's been out there throwing 10, 12 laps around this before that unfortunate incident. To the question out there, well, it's Bill Murray it's named after, and not the actor, of course, because
I was going to say not the actor.
He was a prominent figure in early Australian motorsport, particularly during the mid-20th century. The corner earned his name after experiencing a notable crash there. While the details may be varying, the incident left a lasting impression and led to the corner being informally associated with him, eventually becoming its official name. I didn't just read that, of course. No, that's in my head. No, I cheated. I did look it up.
I still remember a big crash. Now, if anyone knows their V8 supercar history, there was a Holden Commodore that had a left rear tyre delaminated over 290 kilometers an hour, right through the place where Daniel Burns gone through on Conrod Straight. And I remember Neil Compton calling the driver that had rolled was Jason Barguana. And it wasn't until they saw who was coming out, but Matt Tesseriro has completely caused a calamity at the top of the hill at Skyline, and that car is an absolute mess.
Oh, you need some of that gaffer tape patches that they have down there in NASCAR to patch that one up, but I don't know if that'll even work. Let's have a look.
It's through. Okay, he's gone on the curbing. He's touched the grass, and it's pitched him sideways, hard into the barriers on the
I see
left-hand
the
side of the
cameraman.
approach into the S's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nose cone gone. Rear wing, yeah,
Hey, he's got
a
4
foot and a half
tyres.
behind the car.
got
Yeah,
4
he's still got 4
tyres.
wheels on that wagon.
We're having
Still
live
got
pit
4
stops
wheels
here.
on
Just
that wagon.
sorry to cut you off, Alex, because we are seeing Douglas Gowan's just heading in and out. A quick pit stop for him. 47-second stationer. Craig Edwards is in as well too. So this is scheduled round of pit stops. Looks like he's creeping down. That's not in slow mo. He is very slow.
He might be running on fumes. I mean,
Yeah.
Matthew Gerard was said in chat, I wonder how fuel strategy will play. Well, you can see that. Yeah, have you got those wheel gun noises ready? There we go.
He's too quick for him, man. The wheel gun's got the
He's
rear
too quick,
jack guy's
too
going,
quick.
hey, I haven't put it on
Hang
yet,
it.
mate. He's gone.
Mate, there's going to be 3 wheels on that wagon. Right, okay. Chris Swadling.
Yeah. What did Murray Walker
from
say?
Red Rock-
Just stick it on. No, Martin Rundle. Just stick it. Stop
No,
having a
Mark
town
Run-
meeting.
just stick him, yeah, stop having a mother's meeting. Stick it on and send him out.
Yes, exactly. I remember that when he was in the booth.
So here's Chris Swadling into the pit lane. So there we go. It's like Mickey on Tuned.
Well, we're going to keep ourselves entertained because guess what? Benjamin Roberts, our
and-
race leader, is in as well.
And
as,
so is Ethan Morris. So the top two, could this be the run in the pit lane where we might see a possible undercut? So
P3 coming
Benjamin
in, P4
Roberts.
coming in, Jordan Daniel as well too. So this is going to be skid. Oh, right in front of the camera.
So there we go. So Roberts, Morris, Mazzaroli, and Byrne all in. Roberts was on his marks for 7.5 seconds. Ethan Morris, how long is he going to be? It's lucky number 7 for that man. 7.7 seconds. So Mazzaroli and Byrne, who's going to get the jump on who in the pit lane? And they were in for slightly less. 6.47 for Jordan Mazzaroli. Daniel Byrne 6.63. So they will. They may retain their places at the moment, but at the minute, well, Matt Tesseriro and Jake Robillard. Well, Jake Robillard is not taking any further part in this race, I'm afraid. And here goes Scott Bartain for ESR in the 909. He's been in the wars a little bit, but he's going to come down pit road.
I do like when they have those sound effects in the pit lane. You might be, just an indication to let everybody, the teams know. It's like
where they have the like the air raid style.
Yeah, this one has
siren.
one. I think you can probably slightly hear it. I heard it just before. He goes up onto the jacks. The invisible iRacing pit lane crew will be working. They do appear for the drivers themselves, but unfortunately for the broadcasting aspect of it, iRacing doesn't include that. James and I were talking about that earlier. It would be cool if they did, because it looks great when you see them frantically working and the wheel gun man drops the jack there or it doesn't work and he has to grab another one.
Mm-hmm. Well, Craig Edwards was only on his marks for 3.45 seconds. Now, Tom Donahue is the only driver, according to my live timing, that has yet to pit, apparently, in the number 94. And he is currently running in 6th spot at the moment. So the top 7 occupied by pro cars.
It's got traffic around him too. Everybody's come out of pit road right
Yeah.
there. Oh, safety car. We have a safety car.
We have got a safety car for the first time. 90 kilometers an hour. So Nathan Allen, who is designated as our safety car driver. So from race control.
Oh, is that the reason why, Alex, that we did see a bunch of people jump in the pit lane? We might not have heard the call up here in race control that the pace car was out. So
yeah. So So pit window is normally lap 23. Normally between 23 to 24 laps. So drivers have pitted early. They are doing the waiver rounds at the moment.
Yeah, Nathan will get the lucky dog, won't he? And as you see them up the road.
So Tristan McLaren's just had it as well.
Yeah.
So
well, it gives us an opportunity to see if we want to chat to one of these drivers that we're allowed to during the pace car, and that would be the option of Tom, Scott, or Brett, my friend. It's up to you.
Well, let's see if we can. I don't know. Well, I think let's see if we can bring Scott in if we can
Yeah,
possibly. Just
that's a good idea.
might need to ping him first just to be on the safe
No,
side.
no, we
Because
just drag them in. I think. I'm going to do it. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. All right, so be it. But I know Scotty
we
anyway.
have got to.
I'll grab
Yeah.
him. Scott, hello. It's Dean and Alex into the booth. Now, I believe that you said that you're okay for us to have a bit chin wagging to you during the caution. How are you, my friend?
You sure can. Good boys, how are you?
Thanks. Did
Good,
you know I
not
was
too
casting
bad.
this one, Scotty? I see you out there for the Everything Simulated Racing team of all the other lads, and I know you guys race during the week here in Australia at weeknights, but now you're in a Super Formula around Bathurst.
Yeah, it's where I normally stick in the super formulas. We had the Daytona 24-hour we did, so we're all a bit knackered. That's probably why we're a bit off pace, but we do what we do.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an interesting one today, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, indeed it has. I just
Yeah.
can't seem to get that dipper right these days.
Oh.
I was doing it all right in practice earlier, but somehow I've just gone a bit off pace.
Scotty, you grew
Yeah,
up
I
around
think
here, mate. You should know it. I'm going to have a look at the replay of this one and unfortunately show everybody what happened of your adventures down the dipper for the first time.
Don't do that, please. You know,
No.
I live
Well-
probably about an hour and a half from Bathurst.
Well, we've seen people a bit worse off than you. A lot worse off than you, Scott. To be completely honest with you, I think who's it we saw? It was Matt Tessarira that completely rearranged the front and the rear of his car at one point, and I think he lost it coming out of Skyline, going through into the first part of the S's, and then just completely kiboshed both front and rear. And he's been in the pits now for nearly 6 minutes. But having a safety car period at the moment gives you guys a bit of a chance to relax slightly before we go back under green.
Yeah, but then I've got all these challenges I've got to try to get past, and
Yeah.
aero wash coming down that hill's not nice. That's what upset me the first time.
Well, you know what, Scott, we'll let you get back to it. But thanks for having a quick chat with us during the safety car period here at Mount Panorama.
No worries, boys. Thank you.
Good luck. Yep, I'll put Scotty back in with his Everything Simulated Racing team, which is he'll be joined by Brett Douglas, Jake Rubillard, Tom Donahue, and Trishan McLaren as Benjamin Roberts for the DPR racing team, still in the lead of this one. But that gap that he had built up is all neglected now that we have our first pace car of the evening.
It means that Ethan Morris becomes the hunter once again. I mean, Benjamin Roberts, when, as I said, Ethan did that round the outside into turn one at Hell Corner, missing the tree stump, thank goodness, because it's no longer there. Managing to make the move stick, got the job done, but it just took consistent and not overbearing pressure from Benjamin to get through. And it was going to be a case that we knew that coming out of Hell Corner, down Mountain Straight into Griffins is one perfect opportunity to overtake, but then nailing it when you come out of Forest Elbow, not nailing the barriers, folks, and then getting it lined up nicely down Conrod Straight at over 250 clicks, and then sending it into the chase, going onto the racing line. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. Now, the safety car is pulling away from the field, which means Benjamin Roberts becomes the de facto pace car here at Bathurst as we're waiting for things to go back underway. We've just gone past the 41-minute mark out of 90 minutes. Of course, this is the first of 5 rounds, which will take us all the way through to the 23rd of November, so just a month before Christmas Day. And very shortly, we'll see when Benjamin Roberts decides to bury the hammer, because the pace car is in, and well, Craig Edwards has decided to dive into pit lane, and now they can't overtake until they get past the start-finish line. Looks like we've gone back under green flag racing conditions, and we're underway. So Roberts gets the initial getaway, but Morris is right on his case. That gap was at 1.2.5 seconds. It's now 2.5 tenths going down Mountain Straight.
I'm also surprised at the moment that Tom Donahue did not go in. So he's still one of the drivers that have gone down to visit Old Tented Pit Road. So interesting. I guess he didn't want to give up too much track position. He is getting an overtake done. That's Douglas. Stuff like that's occurring, squabbling in the backfield there. Jordan now putting some pressure on Ethan. He said, okay, mate, you've been following Mr. Roberts for a good chunk of 40-something minutes. Now it's my turn to give him a strike if you don't get the job done soon.
Well, the thing was, Morris actually made a mistake going into Griffin's Bend. I saw a lock-up, and then he also went a little bit wide. So Jordan Mazzaroli in the number 61 has got to be very, very much on his A game as they go through into McPhillamy, and then the run down to Skyline. And then, well, Mazzaroli's got to wait for his opportunity, not go steamrolling into the back of Morris, but you can see now the gap between the top three is about a second as they head into Forest Elbow. Mazzaroli swings it wide, then close to the wall, now buries the throttle. Third gear up to fourth, probably pushing the best part of over 180, 200 kph, maybe closer to 220 as they go over the crest here on Conrod and then into the chase once again. And now Mazzaroli's got the run on Morris, and he's gone to the inside. He's launched it, but is he going to outbrake himself into the chase? He might run a little bit deep. He does. He manages to keep it and gather it together, but Morris goes off the circuit coming out of the chase because Mazzaroli went in there. He definitely waited right up until the last second to hit his markers on the brakes, but he managed to get the job done, and now Jordan Mazzaroli finds himself up into second place ahead of Ethan Morris. The gap between them 4 and a bit tenths of a second, but at the meantime, Benjamin Roberts now has a lead of 1.25 seconds.
Yeah, Benjamin watching them in the mirrors where they were a lot larger a lap or two before, and now all of a sudden they start to disappear off into the distance because he's loving them. The fact that they were battling each other because it could help him build that 1.2 second gap that he has right now. But now that Jordan has been released, he's on the hunt. He's already got a 6/10, 7/10 gap over Mr. Benjamin Roberts, over Ethan Morris at the moment. So he is now mounting a challenge to see if he can take it to the old VR that's been leading every lap of this race so far. Almost every lap.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you know those pit stops that we saw on lap 17, which included Roberts, Mazzaroli, Morris and Byrne, they were only on their marks for anywhere between 6.5 to 8 seconds. So maybe they might have put a little splash of fuel, because that would have given you enough to maybe put 6 or 7 litres in the tank, give or take. So to maybe help them get to that, to elongate the pit stop window. So it will be a 2-stopper, but it just depends on how long that second pit stop is going to be and when it's going to take place, because the pit stop window, according to our strategy our broadcast, our cheat sheet, if you will, we were told that the pit window is going to happen anywhere between lap 23 and lap 24. We're now heading towards the end of lap 21, as there is Sam Chapman, runs deep into the chase and nearly comes flying back onto the path of Douglas Gowans. Gowans has gone off as a direct result. So redress, possibly. The thing is in the regulations, drive, and he's going to give that place back. He's slowed down. He might have got a slow down penalty, possibly for cutting that part of the chase, or maybe he just addressed the redress, went, you know what, my bad on that one, I'm going to give Douglas that place back, and race control will look favourably on that. So a good call by Sam Chapman, but that has allowed Tom Donahue and Scott Bartain to close on in. Now the thing is, Bartain's just been let through. He's been let through there, has Scott. Now Scott's been in the pits twice already in this race, and now Sam Chapman is going back at it again with Douglas Gowans in the number 7. Now you're not going to chance it here through Reed, Sulman and McPhillamy, because you are literally getting very, very close to the wall. Of course, there's that infamous grate on the right-hand side of Sulman Park heading into McPhillamy, then through the dip into the slight compression, then down into Skyline. They'll go even further compression down into the S's, then into the dipper. We ride on board visor cam here with Sam Chapman in the 101, and he's very, very close to the barriers. You can just see how tight and claustrophobic it might seem from inside the cockpit. And now he's going to go up the gears, changing at about 6,900 on the rev range, up to 5th, now up to 6th gear, and is going to start building that speed and momentum to close on him once more to Douglas Gowans. He's got the slipstream engaged here on the Conrod Straight. He's going to pull to the right-hand side in towards the chase. Is he going to make it through? No, he might not do. He's going to hang it around the outside. That was a great move there from Sam Chapman on Douglas Gowans. As neat as you would like it at the most latest possible moment at one of the if not the fastest part on the circuit, but a slight lock-up from the 101 going through Murray's.
Textbook 101 overtake right there as he waited to the last possible moment, as you mentioned, and didn't look like too defensive there from Douglas. He could definitely have parked that car in a position that makes it difficult possible, but when you do that, as you know, Alex, you also compromise your exit out of the chase, and we've seen a lot of those drivers run wide. We saw the little incident before of Sam, what would you saw? I would say using the car up the road as a racing line and not your own racing line, as the camera gets quite blurry there. Must have even banged into it earlier and shaked it around a bit. Well, this is unusual. Yeah. I've never seen that before, but anyway.
No, it was a bit of a blur effect there. Maybe the haze of the track temperature, which is currently at
it's probably
25.5 degrees.
Skippy's chewing in on one of the camera cables down there.
Or it's probably the echidna that's been chewing through the camera cables again. Skippy's made an appearance multiple times at Mount Panorama, and I think also one running of the Bathurst 1000 was actually interrupted by an echidna going onto the circuit as well. And if you want to know what an echidna is, it's a known animal. It's a porcupine, effectively. Yeah. It's a different word, but it's called an echidna down in Oz.
And I don't know if we can kill you or not, maybe. Just don't go too close to it. They'll definitely spike you. Exactly. What's also interesting is there's those pit lane times that you'd mentioned that you were talking about, Alex. And, of course, I'll try to always match up the graphics to what we are discussing so that the audience will get an idea of those pit stop times, as you can see. And you can definitely see Jordan, either a very efficient crew or not, my friend, but in amongst those first and third, he took the shortest time, almost a second off.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is we're now getting to that place where, and Benjamin Roberts, new fastest lap of the race on lap number 23, 1:56.824 by the number 74. So we are getting to that point where I think we may be very shortly seeing drivers come into the pit lane for maybe another stop, because I know for a fact that you cannot fill 79% of a fuel tank in 7.5 seconds. Because we know how... No, I know that for a fact, because I would have thought that maybe people were hoping for a early caution period with the safety car, and that's exactly what we had. Douglas Gowans getting a bit too close to the outside wall going through the cutting, as he's got Scott Bartain not too far behind him. Battle between them is about 4 tenths and a bit, or 4 tenths plus change. Going through now into Sulman, into McPhillamy once again here on lap number 24 of this race. So 50 minutes down, 40 to go in this opening inaugural race of the Player One SimGear FDL Endurance Championship, live on the JP Broadcasting Network.
This is why I think there was a bit of a switcheroo between the teammates because of the fact that Tom has to head into pit road still, so he wanted to make sure he unleashes Scott Bartain to chase down Douglas, as you can see in your pictures, and that itself is like, it's good strategy, of course, with the team, because how far can Tom go, too, mind you, my friend? He's still out there, 24 laps in, 51 minutes on that same tank of gas, and he is, still running.
I wonder if he's having to... He might be fuel saving a little bit more now as well. I mean, Tom's actually done his personal best, 1:58.846. There is Tristan McLaren letting some traffic through. Well, Tom Donahue on lap 24 now pits. So, could he be going for the one stopper? That's a very interesting proposition. We were informed that there could be one driver that might try and do the one stopper, and it could be that Tom Donahue is that driver that will facilitate it. Meantime, Scott Bartain trying to get through on Douglas Gowans into Griffin's Bend, gets the job done. Neat as you like towards the outside of the corner, neatly lines it up for the cutting, and through goes the 909 from ESR.
Up the road there, and next on his hit list would be Sam Chapman. And he's got a chunk of change to catch him, as he's taken 2 pit stops as well too for those incidents that we saw Scotty, and we heard from him during the pace car laps. He's positive, he's heads up, and get your head down actually, as you know, and just get the job done, because it's an endurance race, and we are just getting close to that halfway point as well too, my friend.
Well, we are way past the halfway point,
yes,
by about 7.5 minutes now, Bggles.
Oh, I'm in Australian
getting...
time. You know, we're a little bit delayed. We're ahead of time up down here, mate.
Yeah, I always know that the water, when it goes down the sinkhole, goes around the other way, doesn't it?
Around the outside as well. Yes, it does.
There you go. There you go.
You know, it's a place on the equator you can go where the water spins around on the other side. You've seen videos of that one. Anyway.
Answers on a postcard, please. Right, Chris Swadling, in the meantime, getting on the case with Tristan McLaren. Ethan Morris is slipping further behind Jordan Mazzaroli. Mazzaroli, in the meantime, is 4 seconds behind race leader Roberts, as McLaren goes into pit lane. Now, bearing in mind, his last pit stop, he was on his marks for 48.3 seconds. Big puff of smoke from the tyres because he had to hit the pit lane speed limiter. So you don't want to get caught speeding in the pit lane. Now, this looks to be a Now, I thought it might be a drive-through. No, it's not going to be a drive-through. So, Tristan on his marks. Car up in the air.
Kind of. He's off a little bit to the side there.
Oh, yeah, he's a bit skew-if. So, I wonder if he's had a drama, because he's now... This is his second trip in the pit lane. That is over 20 seconds. He's now been on his marks.
Repairs, perhaps? Just chipping them out? You know, you've got a certain amount of time. The crew can fix them for you. And as long as he tries to stay on the lead lap, I think would be key here. There's the leaders you can see on your track map heading down around Forest Elbow now. So he'll definitely be able to get out ahead of them. But, of course, there's a bit of work to do down the road. But he's out, Tristan, so... And I wonder at the moment if the McLaren team's calling up saying, Tristan, you are not driving in a McLaren, my friend. Although he does in the GT3 races, mate. Of course, he has to be in a McLaren. It's
yes, with a name like...
What if he's related to old Brucey or the Bruce McLaren family?
Who knows? Who knows? We may never know.
Well, you can ask him. I'll ask him.
Ask him. Yeah, you can always ask him.
Well, we'll ask him if he gets onto a podium today, or I'll ask him again on the GT race on Monday nights here in Australia. And welcome all the Australians, of course. G'day, or anywhere else from the neck of the woods, because it is not that late for you at the moment, mate. I think you're just heading on about 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
5 in the morning.
Brett Douglas comes down for the Valve Esports racing machine, so that'll be interesting for the 976. Is that a scheduled pit stop as well, Alex?
Just going to wait until... I'm not too sure when he last pitted, but he was on his marks for the last time for about 7.5 seconds, so... I think he'll have more than enough time to not come out in front of Tom Donahue, but Tristan McLaren definitely. So 7.13 seconds.
There's Tom and there's Tristan.
So there's...
Yeah. I think you answered Matthew's question out there before. How many fast repairs have they got? Or do they get?
I think it's one fast repair, but if the damage is so significant, then you do have, I mean, like we saw with Matt Tesserero, well, he completely kiboshed both front and rear axles, and, well, it looks like we have no Jake Robillard taking any further part, no Matt Tesserero either, so they are both out of the race. Matt's been in the pits for 23.5 minutes plus. Jake Robillard has been in the pits for over 14 minutes, so we still have 13 drivers continuing to circulate. The lead is, however, ever expanding between Benjamin Roberts and Jordan Mazzaroli. Mazzaroli now finds himself the best part of 5 seconds behind the number 74, who continues to be running in the 56.8s. His last lap was a 56.892. Mazzaroli's last lap was a 57.637, so lost nearly 7.5 tenths of a second. Ethan Morris is running, as you can see there, the last couple of laps. Lap 24, 57.991 by Morris, and a 57.844, 58.244, 58.295. So Morris is losing a bit of time to Mazzaroli. I think probably he's just decided, you know what, third place will be a good way to start this 5-round endurance calendar. Of course, they'll have that camera still. When you put it on that camera, that was definitely not doing. That was not doing what it was meant to do. It was
the
like,
cameraman's had too many Fosters, mate, and he gets a little shaky coming around the corner. But keep an eye on this man, Daniel Bryan. Look at this. He is chunk and change, mate. 7 tenths in the last couple of laps, hunting down Ethan Morris for that all-important final podium position. So I don't think Ethan Morris is safe just yet.
No, Daniel Byrne, his last lap was a 57.848. So yeah, a good chunk of change, 4.5 tenths taken out. Morris was quicker than the number 808 over laps 24 and 25, but that gap is starting to not just be eaten into, but at some points around the circuit, like say here at Conrod, because the drivers do have an open setup with one Ridgeway Racing setup, one of the supporters of this series, being provided to all drivers, so they can opt for their own open setup or for the Ridgeway Racing setup that they do get, one of which each driver receives. So right, let's see.
We just shaved another 3 tenths.
That gap's coming down. I think it seems to be in the last part of the lap that Daniel Byrne, Daniel Byrne took 2.5 tenths out of Ethan Morris on the last sector. He took over 2 tenths out of him on sector 2, was level in sector 3, pretty much level in sector 4, lost time in sector 5. So that's where Byrne is losing time, but then making it up in other sectors, especially sectors 2 and sectors 6. You can see the commitment through Reed, Sulman and McPhillamy from Daniel Byrne. The gap now under 1.7 seconds. He just did a 22.2 in sector 2, took 2 tenths out of the guy in front. So Daniel Byrne on a little bit of a tear here as he goes through the S's into the dipper, and then the run down towards Forest Elbow, and then see how much closer he can get. But it's a case of when you get to corners like, say, Forest Elbow, you're hard on the brakes, you're trying to keep the car as close to the wall as it will let you, but then you've got to let the car drift out wide and not catch the barriers like we saw with Craig Edwards on the opening lap, going straight into the wall and knackering the front right. Daniel Byrne at the moment is on a bit of a tear, and he knows that if he can get a shot at Morris, there is possibly an opportunity for Mazzaroli to maybe think, okay, Morris is not catching me, but he'll be keeping tabs on Byrne. And this is Vernet versus Edwards into the chase. Vernet in the 282 locked on Lads Racing Technicolor Dreamcoat liveried car, keeping Edwards at bay. The gap between them is less than 3 tenths as they go into Murray's Corner at turn number 23 of this 6.213 kilometre circuit, and across the line they go. A little bit of a slight off track there for Vernet going down the start-finish straight. The right side wheel's touching the grass ever so slightly, but he's just got to keep it a bit more planted than that to keep Edwards at bay. But Edwards might get a little bit of an assisted with the slipstream going down Mountain Straight. It's not going to be enough. He needed to be a little bit closer than that to go into Griffin's Bend when we saw that move from, I think it was I think it was Scott Bartain that went up the inside of Douglas Gowans a few laps ago and managed to get the jump and get through for 6th place. So there's plenty of overtaking opportunities here.
Bit of blinking.
Yep. No, doesn't help at all. Does blinking, folks? Especially when you got something in your eye, not on a TV screen. But you can see that Edwards now is just really starting to able to push in certain sectors, and then there'll be times when Verne gets away. But he isn't, going through the S's now into the Dipper, heading into Forest Elbow. So I think Edwards, if he gets a really, really good run now out of Forest Elbow, and he kept that car wide towards the outside wall, buried and mashed the throttle, and it's just about whether, you need to be, I think, probably at least 2.5 tenths behind, and there we go. Edwards now makes the move on Verne. It was just a case of, it wasn't a case of if, it was just a case of where around the lap it was going to happen. Conrod Straight personified that in spades.
I tell you what, I think you're right. I'm just trying to get, I've always told, Forest Elbow's always been the key, I'd say. You've got to just nail that perfect. All real life race drivers will tell you the same sort of thing, because Conrod Straight's so long, of course, and you get that overtaken opportunity to the chase. Usually, it depends on the car, of course, but I'd say you want to be about 2 tenths, as you're right, 2 tenths, 3 tenths to the gap of the car once you exit the elbow, and then you have a good shot at getting the OT done by the time you come to the chase. And that was the situation. It was a little bit further back, actually, than that, but he managed to get the job done.
Yeah, it was more like it was about 0.3 or so of a second when they came out of Forest Elbow. But it was, I think sometimes there's no point in trying to stay on the left-hand side of Conrod when you're, coming out of Forest Elbow, when you're trying to get that toe. And it was just a nicely timed move by Craig Edwards, who started, let's not forget, on the inside of row number 2, was third by the time we got to Forest Elbow on the first lap, and then just went straight on at Forest Elbow. So he's now learned, okay, once bitten, twice shy. I won't let that happen again, and has done everything that he can just to stay out of trouble. And folks, would you believe it? We are now 25 minutes away from the timer hitting 0. Currently on lap 32 of this race. 25 minutes as the bell for last orders in the bar starts ringing.
It does come into play, doesn't it? Little boxing ring bell, of course, because there could be some fisticuffs on track. No, this is going to be these gentlemen will respect each other.
Ta-ta-ta.
Ta-ta-ta, yeah, exactly. It. We go on the street. Ned Kelly's Australian famous whiskey. Don't recommend drinking and driving an endurance race, and certainly don't drink and drive on the real roads. Even on Bathurst, that's not a street track. But you do have to use these roads, actually, because I do know, and Scott Bartine said he lives near around here. I know a driver that actually lives just on the track as well, too. And you can actually see his front fence. He's pointed out to me one time when he's been in the booth for the Bathurst endurance race, the 12-hour. And I was like, "You live there?" He's like, "Yep, that's where I live, right there." And he was like, "I take half of this road to get into my house." I was like, "How do you get into your house during a race weekend?" He's like, "You can't. It's all closed off, and you could jump over the fence in the backyard kind of thing and get in." But they know.
I think also, isn't it in some respects used as a public road where you can't exceed, I think it's like 50 kilometers an hour or something like
60.
that. 60, which is effectively 40 miles an hour. And they don't look at it favorably if you are speeding when it's being used as a public road, folks, because there are residential houses
Exactly.
dotted all around Mount Panorama. So
It's my friend's house up there somewhere too. Yeah, not up the top of the mountain here, but further down. Douglas is trying to hunt in Tom, who eventually took his pit stop, last of the pit stops back in lap 24. And there's a good chunk of change of time to go. Benjamin in the lead of this one, just at the fastest lap at the moment. And pretty much sticking a nail in this race, isn't it? Saying, setting a statement, going, I think this is mine. It's only yours to lose at this point now, Benjamin. It's not yours to gain because you already have it.
That's true. I mean, he's Mazzaroli managed to get through on Morris for second place once Morris made a mistake. And then Roberts has just gone, right, see you later. I'm just wondering if he's going to end up... the rate of distance he's got between himself and Jordan Mazzaroli, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he ends up at the bend rather than being at Mount Panorama by the time we finish.
I'm going to go back and have a look at that
because
replay of that earlier overtake for that P2. This came back after the safety car restart, and you can talk us through that one. That's...
Yeah, that was Jordan Mazzaroli up the inside, through into the chase at over 200 plus kilometers an hour. They were probably hitting about 250. And then it was just that mistake there that really cost Ethan Morris, the opportunity to counter-attack, because as soon as you go onto the grass, as we know that with how the iRacing service has evolved, but there you see wheel to wheel for literally a split second, and then Mazzaroli just hits the brakes on a sixpence, runs a little bit deep, but then you can see all the grass being gathered up by Ethan Morris's well-worn tyres, and of course grass and sticky tyres do not mix, so it would have put Morris at a bit of a disadvantage as our race leader Benjamin Roberts now comes through into Murray's Corner here on lap number 34.
Bill Murray's Corner, yes.
And another new fastest lap, 1:56.570, which, funnily enough, folks, is quicker than Jules Gounon's lap of Bathurst, a 1:56.605, which was in a unrestricted Mercedes AMG GT3. And I remember seeing that lap, and I was just like, oh
Pit stops.
my God.
Yeah,
Pit
Sam
stops
comes
are happening.
in. Scott Bartine comes in. So that'll be very, very interesting. Do we expect the rest of the drivers to come in? I'd imagine so, isn't it?
I would say so. We're at that point where sometimes a one-stop strategy might not be the one you want to
that was
pull,
quick.
but
Wow. Nathan's coming in now.
4.4 seconds.
Yeah.
Sam Chapman 5.3. Nathan Vernay in. That's a pretty standout livery, if I do say so myself.
You wouldn't miss
My
him on
God.
the track, that's for sure. That's the thing. Isn't
No,
it?
I mean, like, if the sunlight hit that, I mean, it's cloudy overhead here at Mount Panorama at the moment, but if the sunlight hit that, you would not see what colour that car would be, because it'd just be glinting here, there, and everywhere.
What colour would he register his car at? That's what I'd like to know. Sam Chapman's come out behind Craig Edwards, so he's got a bit of traffic to deal with there to take advantage of the... well, you did take tyres, of course. He's just got the gasoline now. There's your weather conditions as well, too. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. No, at 24-degree track temperature.
Oh, dear. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. I was wondering when that was going to be said by either one of us tonight, to be honest with you, mate.
We have fun
glad
up
it
here,
was
Alex,
you,
as
Rob.
these drivers are
We
having
do,
fun
we
in the
do.
roller coaster ride of Bathurst.
Indeed, and the gap between the top two is now 10.7 seconds. But what I have noticed is that Ethan Morris has started to pick up the pace. Jordan Mazzaroli's last lap, 1:57.5. Well, he's just done a 1:57.3. Ethan Morris has just put in a 1:56.6, and the gap is now... Oh, don't run wide like that coming out of Hell Corner, Ethan. Nearly hit the tree stump, mate. That gap is coming down rapidly. It's now
shaving half a second
just
almost per lap. You're right.
Yeah, he's just done a 1:56.688, and well, they're quite equal on the first sector.
Do you think it's
Chris
because
Swan-
they're running on vapors now, or expecting them to come in, right?
I would expect them to come in very shortly. The lap times from Ethan Morris are reflective of a car with a low fuel load at the minute, and in the meantime, well, Ethan Morris is running on the same sort of pace that Jordan Mazzaroli is, but not when you make a mistake like that.
Whoa! That's on you, Alex. That is on you. He was
That
flying.
was a fate. That was a fate of circumstance, I'm afraid to say, not a commentator's cause. But no, the thing is, but that was Ethan Morris, who has just
he's in a dangerous place.
Lost it.
It's hard to turn this.
Of all the places he lost it, it was into Skyline. He'd been. You know what I was saying about curbing and the grass? Well, that's exactly what's just happened with Ethan Morris, because he's now going to have to pit and repair that damage. And that was going through at a big rate of speed, I think probably north of 200 kilometers an hour, through into Skyline. Jordan Mazzaroli's now pitted. So let's have a look. Through into McPhillamy, into Skyline, on the curbing, grass on the tyres, and bang! Front end hits on the right-hand side of the circuit.
And it cost him a lot too, because of the fact that he was in an awkward position, facing the opposite direction, and it's very hard to turn. These cars aren't designed to turn on a zero-steer dime, and
no, exactly.
He had to wait for a lot of traffic to come through to eventually drive it back to the pit road, which will be coming around soon, as Jordan does a standard pit stop. Well, actually, a little 7.5, as you can see on the bottom ticker.
Yeah. I think probably just
get out ahead of Chris. Actually, crucially, we'll get out ahead of Chris. But Chris is, remember, in the different class, so Chris is looking good there in the Challenger class.
Yeah, he's leading that at the moment, and he's got 5 cars between himself and the next best place driver, who is Brett Douglas. Ethan Morris, no front wing. That has cost him a podium this time around. And of course, it's not just the fact that they're battling for a driver's title in this, but it's also team's title as well. Craig Edwards being hustled by Sam Chapman, and Sam Chapman, I have to say, has done some really good work so far over the past hour and 14 minutes, so we are 16 minutes away from hitting 0 on the timer, folks. Thank you so much for everyone that has stuck with us since we started broadcasting here on the JP Broadcasting Network.
Oh no, not here. Didn't you have? You must have picked up Alex's notes there on where to overtake and not overtake here, and the mountain, mate, because
that is definitely not one. That's definitely not one of the places you want to overtake, unless you want to code brown. Several drivers have experienced a code brown over the course of the evening. Benjamin Roberts now in for his final pit stop of the race, and at the minute he's doing a pretty sterling job after 36 laps. So he's brought us on to lap number 37, but Daniel Byrne is currently he's gone through. Daniel Byrne has gone through, so he's going another lap. I would say another lap, and we'll pit. Sam Chapman, so there's Benjamin Roberts, comes out around about 2.8 to 3 seconds behind Daniel Byrne. Benjamin Roberts fastest lap of the race, 1:56.570. Chapman goes through out of Murray's corner. So does Edwards. Gap between them is about 7 tenths. So now Benjamin Roberts has an opportunity to try and close in on Daniel Byrne, who last pitted on lap number 17. So Benjamin Roberts nearly went for 20 laps. So he pitted on lap 17. So it does look like you might be able to eke out 22 laps out of these Super Formula Lights cars, producing the 275 brake horsepower, being as light as a feather. We have seen that some drivers, including, well, when we spoke to Scott Bartain earlier on, and then Bggles decided to throw up the replays at the same time.
Why not?
It just goes to show how difficult some cars can handle. And Super Formula Lights you would normally see at traditional circuits that we're going to be going to later on in this Player One SimGear FDL Endurance Championship, to the home British Motorsport Silverstone, Portimao in the Algarve, and of course Spa-Francorchamps, a fantastic circuit in its own right. Ethan Morris, in the meantime, has rejoined after his 4.6 second pit stop on lap 35. So, with coming up to
He's fast too.
13 minutes
Yeah,
remaining.
just at the fastest
Yeah,
sixth sector there, and he's going to rapidly approach Brett Douglas, but unfortunately have to just wait, get a good run out of the Forest Elbow. He might take 2-1 special. There's a bit of car up the road too, and regain himself that position. Well, get himself that position from Brett Douglas. Of course, Ethan had started way up in the front row. I think almost from the second row. Is fighting his way back into the top 10.
Yeah, he was on the outside of the front row. Now he's got the slipstream on Brett Douglas. He's going to make easy work of the number 976 as they go through Conrod Straight on the run down towards the chase once again. And just ahead of them is Tom Donahue in the 9th place car, the number 94. There he is, and we see from the left-hand side of the car itself. Lovely little onboard here from the 94 ESR racer. So he goes through Murray's corner.
What does that say on the bottom of the rear wing there? Bin the blade for... Can't read the other one. Bin the blade for something.
Bin the blade for.
And then there's another word after it.
I can't really see what the other word says,
yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? But Tom is the only driver that has been in the pits for one time only, and that was on lap 24. So at the minute, well, with laps being at around about let's call it a 158, give or take. We're about to complete lap 38, so I'll probably say we might have another 6 laps to go, including this one, as Daniel Byrne crosses the line. Is going to go on to lap 38, so he's just done 21 laps on his tank of fuel so far. So the big question will be, when does Daniel Byrne pit? He has just put in a 157.577 moment there for the car in front. That's Donahue, who's had he had a lock up on the left rear going through into Skyline. Now Ethan Morris is going to do exactly what he did to Tom Donahue that he did to Brett Douglas just one lap ago, as we are fastly approaching our final 10 minutes of this first round out of 5. Through to the inside goes Ethan Morris in towards the chase.
He
2
gave
wheels
him a
off.
racing line too. I didn't think he could
did
fight that one.
I don't think he really wanted to, because he knew that Ethan Morris was a hell of a lot quicker than him. And Ethan is running consistently in the 157.5s and 6s. And there is Daniel Byrne. Gap now between him and Roberts is down to a mere 1.1 seconds. But Roberts has
Imagine if he
pitted
could go to
on
the
lap
end with 10 minutes to
36.
go. Could this be a strategy here from Daniel? You can see the last lap he went in was lap 17. If he could stretch it and run it on vapors, he could win the race, of course. But Benjamin knows that. Benjamin's creeping in. Look at that. Shaved another 2/10 off. You can see them. And of course, down this main straight, he's going to catch Sleep even more.
I think Daniel's going to be pitting either this lap or the next, because 17 plus 23.
Oh dear. Let's just hope that my connection picks itself back up again. A little stutter. He's coming in. I forgot you there, Alex. And he comes in, we'll set up sorting themselves out. So Douglas also comes in before, because he boxed on lap 17. As hopefully we'll get Mr. our lead announcer, Mr. Alex Goldschmidt, back into the booth here to wrap this up for the last 9 minutes change or so. Chris is heading into pit road as well, so that's the last of the stops, I think, for the majority of the field here. Sign some autographs whilst they're down there. There should be some pretty short pit stops, because I don't have to put as much gasoline in it, those engines. Well, essentially like a racing avgas. We can get Alex in.
Yep,
Alex,
can
you have
you
a
hear
copy?
me?
Yes. Had a little momentary dingo chewing thing on the cable, but thankfully didn't kick us from the session or anything. So maybe
Oh,
just
okay.
yep.
Was that from your side?
I think it was from my side, yes, and so I think it just kind of messed up with Discord there for a second. But we got you there, Alex, the lead commentator, the man that's been commentating probably for more years than most of his drivers have been born in years, actually.
Well,
Not to
actually,
sound old, Alex.
thanks, Bggles. you know how to make a mate feel welcome. Bugger.
Hey, that's experience.
No, I'm
It's
only
good.
kidding.
Yeah, take
Oh,
a,
hang on. Oh, Mazzaroli was a bit wild there through the S's and into the dipper. I nearly thought he clipped the wall at one point. He nearly does through Forest Elbow. Well, I've been commentating since, well, on and off I started 2014. So effectively I've been commentating for, not full-time for a decade, but on and off for the first 2-3 years I was doing commentary, and so yeah, but full time I've been doing this since 2017, so this is
might have lost you there for a second.
no,
you're pondering the
ninth
numbers.
year,
Yep.
ninth year. I
He's
was
counting the
numbers,
fingers.
so-
1, 2, 3, 4,
counting the
5,
fingers.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, I was going like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Well, I
22,
don't think any of these drivers are that young, but they are
No.
coming thick and fast. These young ones these days, because they realise
Yes,
getting
they
into
are.
the sim racing rigs can get you into the real racing cars easier these days too. Well, not easier,
Well,
but gives you more of a
especially with schemes like Racing Prodigy, for instance. You know, they've been racing in radicals, I think, over in the US. So yeah, but what can we say about this man that we haven't said already? What a performance from Benjamin Roberts. I mean, you know, no wonder he was one of the drivers from the Asia Pacific region that competed in last year's FIA F4 Global Esports Championship, and he's got a gap of 20 seconds from Jordan Mazzaroli, and with 6 minutes to go, well, we're not that far away from completing our 41st lap of this race. So give or take, we'll probably be hitting either lap 45 or lap 46 at the checker, but there's not enough superlatives to describe what this man has done so far today.
what was that word again? Superlatives?
Superlatives is like he's been stunning, spectacular,
Well, that's a
and all that.
fantastic word you don't hear very often. Good use of your vocabulary there, Mr. Alex.
And that's even at 5:30 on a Sunday morning here in the United Kingdom.
Just had a cup of tea or some coffee there, get you all pepped up. But anytime you're behind the mic, my friend, you're always the sharpest tool in the shed. Could this be not the last lap, of course, yet, because they're 1 minute, just shy of 2 minutes that they're doing laps at the moment. But don't tell Benjamin that. He might pull off one of those old Lewis Hamilton days or Max Verstappen and do a fastest lap on the last lap.
Who knows? Who knows? He could have some pace there. I mean, he just did a 56.9. So I wouldn't put anything past the number 74 from DPR Racing. He's done a stellar job. And the good thing is, the beautiful thing is, folks, well, FDL does have some Super Formula League racing action. Season 1 of 2025 for that gets underway on the 21st of January, so a couple of days' time. They'll be racing at the Suzuka International Racing Course. That will go on for 8 weeks, and that will tie in nicely with our second round of the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship, heading to the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit on the 30th of March for Season 1 of the Endurance Round 2. And then we'll have another, there'll be another Super Formula season, which will be back-to-back until the Algarve circuit hosts us on the 22nd of June. 7th of September, well, between that and round 3, there'll be another Super Formula Lights Championship. It will be week in, week out for a multitude of weeks, and then I think they're due to have 4 seasons running. Dylan DeBono says, "How's the racing been?" Dylan, chaotic at times, especially in the first 15 or 20 minutes, but things have calmed down a bit as got our race leader here, Benjamin Roberts, about to come through
I
Murray's
tell you
corner
what
again.
we can do there, Alex. What we can do is quickly give a little bit of a recap of some of the incidents that have occurred whilst there's not a lot of action happening on the track. So we'll go back to, we saw Scott Bartine's crash a couple of times. I don't want to rub salt into the wounds. But we go back to
I think one of the...
Sorry?
I was going to say, Tristan McLaren had one of the biggest incidents, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Going through Skyline and into the S's earlier on in the number 63, and yeah, this is one of the things you don't want to see. You know, hits the curb and then spins it on the racing line, and then
I was going to say, if you have small children in the room, please have them look away, because we can go back and have a look at some of the moments. I'll have to rewind that one a little bit, because that this occurred because of that accident that occurred up the road, and that was avoiding action, as you can see there. And
that was Matt Tesseriro.
All trying to avoid.
Yeah, well, he clipped the front wing of Tristan McLaren, and then it just sort of caused him to go straight off. And then Tristan having this moment where it collected Nathan Verney, so off out of the chase, and then bang, and it was like 2 into 1, and Nathan just got caught out by it all. So there has been quite a few dramas. I mean, Scott Bartane, another one, coming a cropper here in the S's into the dipper, you know, just completely losing it, and luckily enough just managing to get it pointed back in the right way. And that's not the only incident.
Almost a lap later, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jake Robillard, our first retiree actually, on lap 13, and this was at Forest Elbow, and just completely harpooned the right hand side in the wall. And then you got this moment from Tristan, and this is through Skyline into the S's, and yeah, that was from the earlier incident, but it was Matt Tesseriro's big incident where he actually went off again, and this was at the top of the S's, and he completely rearranged the front and rear of his Dallara 324 Super Formula Lights car.
And then the pace car had a crash. And that's piloted by Nathan now. I was like,
well,
I don't know why
Nathan.
That comes up as a highlight event as an incident, but and here's Ethan.
Yeah, this is the biggest moment where running P3, chasing down Jordan Mazzoli, and at about 180 clicks, clips the grass on the outside curbing coming out of McPhillamy, and then just loses it. Nathan Verney also having his own dramas through Skyline and into the S's. You can just see he loses it, and then bang, right front takes a hit onto the racing line, and then nudges the barrier for good measure. But we are literally seconds away from hitting 0 in this first race in the Player One SimGear FDL Endurance Championship. And it is going to come down to this moment. We are on lap number 44, and as he makes his way down Conrod Straight, DPR Racing's number 74, Benjamin Roberts, now is going to come down Conrod for the final time. We've hit 1 hour and 30 minutes into the chase. It's going to be hard on the brakes. Turn it left, and then turn it right, and then a final left-hander. We'll see our first race out of 5 conclude. But what a drive it's been. The checkered will be out this time. Benjamin Roberts picks up the spoils of victory here at Mount Panorama. He conquers the mountain, he conquers Bathurst, and wins by a commanding margin. Jordan Mazzaroli started from the outside of row number 2, managed to make his way through on Ethan Morris, and the number 61, he will make his way through into Murray's corner for the final time, and he will take the runner-up step on the podium. And Daniel Byrne, well, it was going to be very close because Sam Chapman is closed in on the dying stages, but Byrne picks up the final spot on the rostrum. Chapman takes 4th, and by 4 tenths of a second. Scott Bartane takes 5th. Craig Edwards takes 6th. Douglas Gowns holds on to 7th. And then, well, we got a winner for the Challenger class, because the number 35 from Red Rocket Racing, Chris Swadling, makes his way through out of the final corner, through Murray's, and will take the win in the Challengers class in 8th position. Ethan Morris, well, could have been a podium, ends up having to console himself with 9th place. Tom Donahue, the only driver that did the one stopper and managed to round out the top 10. Nathan Verney crossed the line already, 5 laps down off of our race winner. So Brett Douglas takes 11th place, just waiting for our last driver to come through the chase, and that is Tristan McLaren in the number 63. Well, he's had dramas himself. Started 11th and is going to pick up the final step on the rostrum in the Challengers class. The number 63 out of the final corner is our last classified finisher. That finished pretty much on the lead lap. But Benjamin Roberts has done the business here at Bathurst and has conquered all and sundry despite an early scare with an around the outside overtake by Ethan Morris. But Benjamin Roberts is your round 1 winner for the Player 1 Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship. That's well deserved.
Absolutely brilliant. And there's a celebration lap, of course, as he'll pull his car up underneath the bridge so we can't see him. Actually, we got other cameras there, mate. Don't you worry about that. We got you. And he's going to probably just line up, as the drivers like to do sometimes, so that we can get he's jumped out of the car. No, he's in there, and we'll see if we're going to have Jordan and Daniel line up against him. But no, they're pulled into the pit road. He's going to celebrate there and toast himself some Vegemite, a Vegemite sandwich with some bubbly champagne for the victory. For the first endurance race.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the end of the on-track action. Now we go to the post-race show, and we actually have our race winner waiting to have a chat with us. But here are your provisional results this time. Benjamin Roberts wins by 23.4 seconds after 45 laps, or 44 laps. He did the additional lap of honour just to showcase it. Ahead of Jordan Mazzaroli and Daniel Byrne, who ran at the top 3. Sam Chapman and Scott Bartain ran at the top 5, ahead of Craig Edwards and Douglas Gowans. Chris Swadling wins the Challenger class in the number 35, picking up 8th, ahead of Ethan Morris, Tom Donahue, Brett Douglas, Tristan McLaren. Nathan Verney finishes 6 laps down, but still got to the checkered. Matt Tesoriero, Jake Robillard and Nathan Allen. Well, Jake Robillard not getting to the finish. Nathan Allen being our official safety car driver. Did two or so laps, but you know what? Without further ado, let's bring our race winner into the broadcast booth to have a chat with him. So let's see if we can do that now. Well, Benjamin Roberts, what a way to start. Pole position, an early scare from Ethan Morris when he threw it around the outside at Hell Corner, but picking up the W. How are you feeling?
Yeah, very good. I wasn't too worried about Ethan getting the jump on the start because first few laps I wanted to save a bit of extra fuel anyway. But yeah, it was pretty comfortable after that safety car.
Yeah, I mean we did actually see that one driver did try and chance it with the one stop strategy that had been rumoured to exist, and I think that was Tom down in 10th place, but. You put the pressure on to Ethan once he got the jump on you after turn 1 at Hell Corner on lap 1 after the start. But it's just about consistently just showing your nose and saying, look, don't forget, I'm behind you. And you kept pushing, and then it got to the point where you got the run through Conrod and got a really nice overtake done at the same time.
Yeah, like I said before, to save a bit of extra fuel for the first couple of laps. In practice, I think with the wind in the direction that it was, I could have made the one stop without the safety car, to be honest. Not sure about anyone else. I mean, depending on setups, I was running quite a lot less downforce, it seemed like, so I was probably the only one that could have done it without the safety car. But yeah, I mean, after a couple of laps, saved a bit of fuel and just thought, time to see what he can do, see if he can keep up with me, and if not, just break the draft and just stick to my own rhythm after that.
I mean, how much speed were you gaining with the amount of downforce that you trimmed off the car? To be honest with you, Ben, because it's not easy around a circuit like Mount Panorama, especially up at the top of the hill. Going through the cutting into Silverman, McPhillamy, and then into Skyline. You got to have that nice little balance in general. How did the downforce affect you that much in terms of how much you trimmed off it?
Not too much. I trimmed it down enough so going across the top of the mountain, I could still go flat out pretty comfortably, and setup as running would still do that pretty safely every lap. So I was sitting about 257 Ks down Conrod. I know Ethan was running about 251, so I had quite a bit of an advantage there.
But altogether, after 44 laps, 23.5 seconds was the winning margin. Well done on the W today for the first round of the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship here at Bathurst. Before we let you go, Ben, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Big thanks to Tom and everyone in race control for putting this race on. You guys in the broadcast, you've done a great job. All the series sponsors and our team sponsors as well for DPR, NP Designs, Southwell Lifton Hoist, and Ben Max Mechanical.
Brilliant. There we go. That's our race winner for the first round of the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship, Benjamin Roberts. Ben, thanks for chatting to us, and good luck in whatever you race next, and hopefully we'll see you at round 2 at Silverstone on the 30th of March.
Yeah, you certainly will. Thanks very much, boys.
Brilliant. A big thank you there to Benjamin Roberts. We'll pull him back into the waiting room. So we'll now pull in our runner-up of the race in the number 61. Let's bring in Jordan Mazzaroli. Jordan, hello there. How are you doing?
Not so bad. How are you?
Good. Well, congratulations. Second place in the race, starting from the outside of row number 2. Did you hope you were going to get a podium, but were you quite surprised with the fact you ended up second after it was all said and done?
Yeah, I think obviously I wasn't really expecting it too much. It's my first race of the season, so probably a bit rusty. But I'm pretty pleased with my pace. It was consistent, and I was trying to catch up to Ben, but he was just too quick. So it was good.
Quite an interesting battle between yourself and Ethan. Obviously, midway point of the race and trying to get the jump on each other, but you made the move through at Conrod. He then made a bit of an unforced error coming through the chase, and then you started to pull away a little bit, but then he started clawing you back in. We were seeing anywhere between 2 to 3 tenths on particular sectors of the lap here at Bathurst. But were you worried that he might eventually catch you? But then, of course, he dropped it at one of the biggest places where we normally don't see it happen that often, Skyline, and then knocked himself out of contention for not just second place, but for an overall podium. Do you think that would have been a really nice battle for you to have at this early stage in the championship?
Yeah, I think that I was noticing he was starting to slowly close the gap, and I was kind of worried. I had a feeling that during the safety car, he changed his tires. That's what I feel, because I didn't change them because I personally thought they were gonna be all right for the race. But looking back at it, I probably should have changed those tires. But yeah, luckily, shame that he actually binned it, because it was going to be a pretty good race. But it was in short, I was pretty worried about it, but yeah.
Well, maybe we could see that rivalry rekindled at round 2 of the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship on the 30th of March at the home of British Motorsport Silverstone. But Jordan, congratulations on finishing runner-up in the pro class here today. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Just want to thank obviously my family for giving me constant support. And also Tulip Racing for also for their support. And also my dad for organising the pit strategies for me. He's really good in that regard. So shout out to him.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Jordan. Thanks for talking to us here in the booth in the post-race show, and we'll see you at round 2 at Silverstone on the 30th of March.
Keen for it. Thanks, guys.
Big thank you there to Jordan Mazzaroli. Let's bring in our final driver in the pro class who hit the podium. Let's bring in number 808, Daniel Byrne from Carlin's Motorsport. How are you? Congratulations, P3. Was that something you were expecting in terms of results today?
Hey there. It wasn't really. I was happy to maybe finish in the top 5 somewhere there. I just didn't really have time to put the practice in. Setups as well. I've only really raced this car with fixed setup, so I had no idea what to do with the open setup. So I just went with the open setup that was shared in Discord. Seemed to be pretty quick, but I could see down the straights some of the guys were just leaving me behind. So yeah, might need to work on that next time around, I think.
But you're also having some pretty good battles as well, because a lot of people got into a bit of strife in the first 15-20 minutes of it. How did you cope with all the chaos that was happening around you at times?
Yeah, it was a little bit around me. It wasn't too bad. I've been in leagues that have been a lot worse than that, so it was actually not too bad. But yeah, coming down the mountain, and when you see some smoke on the horizon when you're coming down there, it's always a bit scary. So there's a few close moments there that got the heart rate up. But yeah, overall it was pretty good. I finished with 0 incident points, so I guess that means I probably wasn't pushing hard enough.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We definitely did see quite a few drivers pushing the envelope quite a bit. I think we saw like Matt Tesoriero completely binning it, coming through into the S's, rearranged the front and rear of his car, and that put him out. Jake Robillard also had dramas. I think also the biggest one we saw was with Ethan Morris, because he was running P3 trying to catch Jordan in second, and Jordan knew that he was catching quickly. But in some respects, Ethan's misfortune was a bit of the silver lining behind the cloud for you, putting you P3. Of course, it is a challenge for a single seater to run at a place like Bathurst, but as you say, completely surprised by it. Anyone you'd like to thank for all the help for getting you to 3rd place today here at the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship?
Yeah, sure. First of all, big shout outs to FDL, putting on an awesome league. Looking forward to all the races ahead. Yeah, so big shout outs to Carlin's Motorsport, Drive Raider 8 on YouTube and TikTok, Glam Raider, Little Rara, Eagers Automotive. Shout outs to my teammate David, couldn't make it today, but he'll be here next week. Shout outs to Atari, Bianca, Frenchie and Minka, and Zach and Levi.
Brilliant. Daniel, thanks so much for talking to us in the post-race interviews, and well done on your 3rd place in the pro class, and I'm sure we'll see you for the upcoming first season of the FDL Sprint Series very shortly.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
He's gone off to do the endurance race now for Bathurst. No, I'm kidding. We've got one more, of course, don't we? The champion.
You know what? I'll leave this one to you.
No, you're fine. You got it there, Alex. I've been going straight for about 6 hours of broadcasting, mate. You still got a whole day to go.
Well, I know. Well, without further ado, let's bring in our Challengers winner from this event, Chris Swadling. Welcome into the booth. Congratulations, 8th place, but more importantly, you are our Challengers class winner for the opening round of the Player One Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship. Well done.
Thanks, Alex. It was a good race.
It was. Dramas at times as well. I think a lot of people may have just not bargained for some of the calamities that we had in the first 15-20 minutes, but you kept your nose out of trouble. You kept your nose clean pretty much during the race. But I know that you did have, I think it was 5 trips into the pit lane, if I remember correctly. So
Probably a little bit more than I needed, but yeah.
yeah, but still to get P8 overall and get the Challengers class win, you must be feeling on cloud 9 at the moment.
Yeah. Look, Bathurst is always like a battle of attrition, I think. So I think the main thing is beat the mountain first and then get the other cars around you. So I had one little incident where I did lock a rear and put it in the wall, which meant I had one trip to the pits that I didn't really think I needed. But yeah, it's a matter of keeping it clean and trying to keep the car straight all the way.
I mean, you also qualified P7, which we saw some very, very close times. I mean, I think one of the good things about FDL is that it's about drivers helping each other, but also racing clean. It's nice to have something a bit different. We normally see endurance racing with GTPs, LMP2s, or GT3s, but it's something quite unusual to stick people in a Super Formula Lights car and go, yeah, go around Bathurst, see how that goes.
It can be like that, especially like if everyone doesn't quite play the game and hit Griffin's that first corner and want to battle it out. Sometimes it can end badly for a long race.
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, Chris, congratulations on the W in the Challengers class. Of course, I'm sure we'll see you for the upcoming races that we've got lined up very shortly. I know in a couple of days the first round of season 1 of the sprint format gets underway, but I'm sure we'll see you back for round 2 at the home of British Motorsport at Silverstone on the 30th of March. Well done today, and would you like to give anyone a shout out to?
Yep. So shout out to Doug Gowans, who was keeping me company in the Discord because it's a long race by yourself. Shout out to all the DFR guys for helping out and for all their assistance and support. And a shout out to Phil's wife, Monica.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Chris Swadling from Red Rocket Racing. Chris, well done, and good luck on your next set of races, buddy. And we'll see you at Silverstone for round 2 of the Endurance Championship.
Thanks, Alex.
Well, Bggles, we got through our top 3 in Pro. We got through speaking to Chris Swadling, our Challengers class winner. What a way to start Player 1 Sim Gear FDL Endurance Championship with a bang here at Bathurst.
Absolute cracker, the mountain producers. I think we had it right from Chris, didn't it? And he's spot on when he said, first you conquer the mountain and then you conquer the drivers around you. And that's exactly how you drive Bathurst, mate. You tackle the old girl and then you go, oh, yeah,
Yep.
Well, let me try to get past some of these other cars around me. Benjamin didn't have to do too much of that this evening, of course. He's led practically every single lap, but he got the job done early. Nice little battle, as you'd mentioned, that he had with Ethan Morris as well. But they threw everything at him, and Benjamin responded with no problemo. Got the job done. It's been a pleasure, Alex.
It has indeed. Well, folks, just to give you a bit of a heads up on what's coming up on the JP Broadcasting Network. Well, in about 13 hours' time, at 20:25 UK time on the 19th, it will be Conspit GR86 in association with Tanzo Racing Group Round 2 at Thruxton. And then, IGP Fun Super Formula Lights returns with Season 1 Round 5 at Mugello. Then Sim Racing for Simpletons Season 5 Super Formula Lights, Super Formula Round 1 at Mugello returns at 10 to 1 on Monday the 20th. Then we go to the NickelOilsPro.com Series Round 3 at Martinsville on that same morning. And then Clark St James GT3 Season 5 Round 2 heads to Jerez. Radical SR8 Championship Season 2 Round 5 on the evening of Monday the 20th at Circuit Zolder. The Autobahn Sports Car Challenge Round 9 of Season 14 heads to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And then the FDL Super Formula Sprint Series starts Round 1 at the famed Figure 8 circuit in Japan, Suzuka. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in with us here with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Dean Bggles Hopton. Big thank you to Player 1 Sim Gear, Print Racer, Image Digital, Ridgeway Racing Setups, RSW graphics, everything simulated, and 24/7 sim services. This has been a JP Broadcasting production. Thank you so much for tuning in. Race hard, race fair. And if in doubt, well, go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.